Hi, it's Micheline with Fit and Healthy for Yourself, and today I decided to share my experience with Alzheimer's. I've been pretty much for the last 10, 11 years, I've been taking care of an elderly woman that has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. So I'm pretty much been there from the onset, the diagnosis of Alzheimer's, to pretty much now the end stages. We're almost at the very end. So I've been through pretty much all of the stages of Alzheimer's except the very end. And so I've learned a couple things and I've noticed a couple things. So I was thinking that I would share what I've pretty much been through. So tips and tricks will pretty much come to in later videos. Today I just want to share what I've actually learned from the very beginning. Alzheimer is a debilitating disease pretty much where the person forgets everything. I mean, they forget everything from their memories to the people they love to the basic things like eating, swallowing, talking, walking. They forget all of that eventually. So, but in the very beginning, what I've learned pretty much is Alzheimer's it's a long road. This disease is not really that quick. It can take a really long time. It can go quicker in some patients. But you're in for a long road, really long. So, and I found that the beginning is mentally the toughest. The end part is physically the toughest because that's when the person pretty much doesn't do anything for themselves anymore. So physically it's tough, but mentally the beginning is the toughest because I've noticed that in the beginning when they have some forgetfulness, they also have some moments of clarity where they still have some moments where they are back to their old self, where they remember, where they understand. And they also at that point also realize that something is wrong with them. And that becomes very frustrating. And for you as the caretaker, if it's family or not, you know that person and you know what they were, how smart they were and how much you were able to do with them, and now suddenly all that is gone. So that is mentally the toughest part. And basically what I've come to learn is that an Alzheimer patient is basically a child. That's what you have to see it as. Alzheimer pretty much is, we always say that life is full circle. You start as a baby with basic, skills, and you pretty much go back to that. Especially Alzheimer patients, they do go back to, basically they become a child. They basically go backwards. They forget little by little and they go back, even in their memories, as they forget their memories, they go back in time. So let's say the patient is married and they might go back to where they know that person and they think of them as a boyfriend but not as a married person because they haven't gotten to that stage yet. It goes backwards and then they will forget that they actually even have a husband or a boyfriend. They forget all of that and then they forget that, then they think of themselves as a child because they're looking for their parents. So it's like they go gradually backwards and they go more and more even to the point where they become basically the baby stage, where all they do is all day is sleep, eat, and go to the bathroom. And they need to be fed. They don't walk anymore. They don't talk anymore. They don't do anything for themselves anymore, pretty much. So that's why I pretty much always said Alzheimer patients are children. You have to treat them like children. However, you have to treat them as a child that does not understand, a child that cannot comprehend anything. It does not retain any information. You cannot expect to tell the person you can't do this and remember 10 minutes later. It will not happen. Alzheimer patients are children that cannot retain, that cannot understand you. They don't have any rational thinking. All of that is out. Common sense, all of that is out. None of that exists. They cannot, they might hear you, they don't necessarily understand what you're trying to say. So therefore, you really have to treat them as children. And the same way we don't always yell at children, in the same way we try to let them do things on their own. Especially in the beginning, let them do as much as you can on their own, even if they do it wrong. Doesn't matter. But as long as they can still do things on their own, they still do them. If you take things away from them, the quicker they're gonna forget them. So if they want to get themselves dressed and they put 5 different layers of things on, I've had that. I came to the elderly lady, and when we still were thinking she can get dressed herself in the morning, and she had 5 different outfits on, all on top of one another. But you can't like yell at them and say, oh no, you can't, you have to take that off. Gradually get to the point, let's take this off, and but let them still get dressed on their own, even if it's wrong. Let them do it and then maybe correct it. But otherwise, it just doesn't. It makes you a lot more stressed out. So think of it as just taking care of a child that just likes to do the right things but doesn't really know what they are. That's pretty much what it is. They don't know what they're supposed to do, and sometimes they remember, and then it becomes very frustrating because they realize in what a tough situation they are. But they pretty much depend on you. They don't like to admit it, but they are depending on you as the caretaker to guide them and to let them basically be happy. So my later videos, I'm going to show a couple more tips and tricks, so stay tuned, and I hope this helped a little bit.